Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be filming my review and 3 demo look on the COLOURPOP Rendezvous eyeshadow palette. This review is going to be a little bit shorter than usual, well I hope it will be, just because this palette is now discontinued. This and the Sweet Nothings eyeshadow palette was an exclusive to Ulta. They brought those two palettes to the actual COLOURPOP website, that way like international buyers could get it as well, and now it's like disappeared. They didn't announce it that it was going to be gone. I wish they would have let everybody know like, okay, this is going to be gone tomorrow, it's your last chance to buy it, but it just kind of like disappeared into thin air and it's not there anymore. And I also heard that it's also not on Ulta's website as well. So obviously I do not like talking about discontinued items, but this review is mainly for those of you guys that already have this palette and you want some inspiration on it. And I will be showing you guys some comparisons and dupes, so if you did want this palette then you guys can go that way. Okay, so just jumping straight into the review, I'm not going to talk too much about the product info just because obviously you cannot even buy it anymore. You will get 5 mattes and 7 shimmers, 3 of them being repeats, 6 of them I have comparisons slash dupes, and the remaining 2 are already existing single shadows. So I don't really know if I should tell you guys my thoughts on the palette, but just briefly, I enjoyed this palette a lot. I like the mattes that are in here. I also like these shimmers. I like the color story. It's a little bit different. I do like how there's a black. Recently, I just been loving adding black shadows into my eye looks, really deepening out the outer corner. So I'm really happy there's a black in here. You get transition shadows, you get your medium tones, and you get a bunch of beautiful shimmer shades. There is a palette from COLOURPOP that I think is a little bit similar, which is the I Love E Through My Eyes eyeshadow palette. Out of all the color stories, the I Love E one is probably the most similar to this. I wouldn't say it's like exactly dupe for dupe. Like if I could swatch the similar shades in here to the I Love E, I personally feel like it's super different, but you will get a similar vibe from it. And out of the two, the I Love E and the Rendezvous, I probably would go for the I Love E. There are beautiful, beautiful shimmer shadows in there. The mattes are beautiful, just everything about that palette is really nice. But the one thing that I like about this palette over that palette is that this palette has a black, because the darkest shadow in the I Love E palette is called Divina. It's like a dark purple. That one's kind of inconsistent to me. The more I use it, I feel like it's a little bit patchy sometimes and sometimes it's not. But with this black, it is perfectly fine. But in saying that, this black is already actually an existing shadow. So obviously if you did want like a good matte black, you can buy this one on its own. You don't have to get it in its palette. You can add it on to the I Love E. So I'm just giving you guys different scenarios that you can do. If you did want this palette, you're not really missing out on too much because you can get it in the I Love E palette. But if you already got this palette, I don't feel like it is a waste either, because the looks that I created with this palette, I actually really like, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Like this eye look today, I'm like, I've never played with pinks and blues together in one eye look, and because of this palette, I got to do that. That being said, I'm just gonna leave it at that because I don't want to keep talking about a product that you guys cannot even buy anymore. So I'm gonna just move on to the dupes because I feel like that will probably be a lot more helpful in this situation. So I'm gonna pull over my little diagram that I made. So you will see that there are 3 existing shadows. These come in different palettes. So you first will get My Tree in the I Think I Love You palette. You will get Want You Back in the You Had Me at Hello palette. And then you will get Never Never in the All I See Is Magic palette. Although I See Is Magic is now a discontinued palette as well, since it was just around for the 2017 holiday collection. You guys might already own that palette, so just keeping that in mind. The 2 existing shades in this palette is Two Birds and Let's Do It. So now we have the comparable shades and the dupes. All 6 of these I feel like are fairly similar. You can get a similar vibe from other palettes, and I will put them on the screen right now so you guys can see, and you can pause at any time to just really analyze the comparisons. Now we're only left with one shade, and the one shade that we're left with is Catch. I couldn't really find like such a comparable shade to compare this with because it's truly such an orange, like a really true bronzy orange, and it is so beautiful. I didn't really want to compare it to anything else. With all that being said, how there are existing shades, comparable shades, and only one being left in this palette. Although this palette is super unique to me, I have a feeling that ColourPop will come out with more palettes in the future, and we might see this again. The closest thing to this will be the I Love Serai palette. Honestly, I'm happy with the I Love Serai. You definitely could do without this one in my opinion. I feel like that's all I want to say. I really don't want to talk too much. I just want you guys to focus on the dupes and the 3 demos because that's more helpful in this situation. So I'm just gonna shut my mouth about this palette now, leave it at that. I'm now gonna roll the swatches and you guys can see the 3 looks that I created with this palette. So to get started with the first look, we're going to go ahead and use the shade Want You Back, and this is going to be our transition shadow. It is a little bit too dark to be the initial transition, so just take your time blending that into your crease. Next, just using the shade Textual, I'm going to put that in the outer third of my eye, slightly bringing it towards the inner crease, but we're going to focus most of the darkness right at the outer corner. I'm also going to bring that shadow on my lower lash line as well, but I'm just going to focus most of the shadow right at the outer corner on my lower lash and leaving the inner third of my lower lash without any eyeshadow. Next, we're going to take a little bit of Let's Do It. I'm using just a tiny bit on my brush. Since this is a black eyeshadow, you don't want to use too much because it is a little bit harder to blend out because it's such a dark shadow. I'm going to be placing this right at the outer corner of my eye, just in a really small section. Again, I just really want to make that outer corner super dark. That way it can contrast against the light shimmer that we're going to place in the inner third. I'll also be taking that black shadow right on my lower lash line, but I'm just going to press it up against my lower waterline and only at the outer corner. I'm not going to bring it all the way in. And I'm just making sure I'm connecting these shadows right at the outer corner. Now taking the shade Two Birds, using this shadow wit, we're going to place this on the inner third of our eye. Around the crease area, I'm just going to make sure to blend it out. I'm not going to really carve out my crease or anything. I just want this look to look very diffuse, very smoky. And now I will be just taking a mixture of my treat and a fling. I'm going to mix the shadows together and I'm going to use this to highlight my brow bone and also my inner corners. And then lastly, I'll be taking my ardency in modster eyeliner in the shade Coffee, and I'm going to use this to tightline my bottom waterline, but only at the outer third. I'm not going to bring it all the way in like I usually would. Alright guys, so this is the first look completed. For my lashes, I am wearing the Boudoir Light from House of Lashes, and for my final lip pairing, I am wearing the Velvet Luxe lipstick from ColourPop in the shade Hey Mr. DJ. So to get started with the second look, I'm going to take the shade Style and Grace, and I'm going to be using this as our transition shadow. I'm going to place that right into our crease using windshield wiping motions, making sure we're getting it right from the outer corner into that inner corner. Now taking the shadow Shake It Off, I'm going to place that right on my lid space, blending it towards the transition shadow. But first we're going to just place it right on our lid first, where we want the most pigment. And once you feel like most of the product is off your brush, you can slowly blend that towards your transition shadow. Then taking the shade Let's Do It, I'm just taking a little bit on my brush because once again, when you are using a black shadow, it's a lot harder to blend out. So it's better to start off with a little rather than too much. Now I'll be taking the shade Never Never, and I'm going to be using this shadow wet. We're going to place this right on top of the black shadow, just right all over our lid, creating a very pretty glittery smoky eye. And just around the crease area, I just want to lightly pat it out, that way it can just slowly diffuse out. We want this to look very soft and sultry. But putting this on top of a black eyeshadow is really going to bring out the glitters a lot more. It's going to give it a base to stand out on. So off camera, I just lined my upper lash line with my Inglot gel liner, but now I'm going to take the shade Let's Do It Again, and I'm going to smoke out the edge of the wing. I just want to make this look a little bit more smoky instead of having such a harsh wing line. So I'm going to actually smoke out the edge in the entire wing. Going back into the shade Shake It Off, I'm going to use this on my lower lash line. And again, taking Let's Do It, I'm going to push this up against my lower waterline, all the way from the outer corner to inner corner as well. I just want to complete this blackberry smoky eye. And lastly, just taking my Ardency in Modster eyeliner in the shade Coffee, I'm going to use this to tightline my bottom waterline. I'm going to use the shade My Treat to highlight my brow bone and also my inner corners. Alright guys, so this is the second look completed. For my lashes, I am wearing the Boudoir Lights from House of Lashes, and for my final lip pairing, I decided to go with the shade Lucky Strike from the Velvet Blur Luxe Lipstick line from ColourPop. And now moving along to the third look, I'm going to start off with the shade Style and Grace, and this is going to be our transition shadow. I'm going to place that right into my crease, right from the outer corner into the inner corner. I do want this shadow to pop out, so I'm going to bring it a little bit higher, a bit closer to my brow bone. And now using the shade Shake It Off, I'm going to place that all over my lid space, just right underneath the transition. I want it a little bit in my crease, but I'm going to try my best not to take over that transition shadow. And then taking the shade Let's Do It, I am kind of doing the same thing once again, but I'm just going to focus the black at the outer corner, and then I'm going to take a pencil brush and focus it in the inner corner, and then I'm going to kind of join the two at the crease in the middle. Now just using some concealer on the back of my hand, we're going to start cutting out the crease. So I'm going to place the concealer right at the center of my lid where there isn't too much product, just kind of lining it up with my pupil. And then I will do what I usually do, just bring it up to my crease, and then I'll take a smaller, thinner brush and I'll use that to really define and cut the crease and make it very sharp and very precise. And now taking the shadow My Treat, I'm using this shadow wet. I'm going to place that right at the center of my lid. Next, using the shade Release, and I'm also using this shadow wet as well. I'm going to place that right at the outer and inner corner of my treat where it touches the matte. This is going to give a bit of a pop of color to the eye look. It's going to make these shimmers blend into the mattes a little bit easier, and it just looks a little bit different. And now I'm taking the shade Shake It Off, and I'm going to use this on my lower lash line, just from the outer corner right to the inner corner, connecting it with the shadows at the outer corner as well. And then just taking the shade Let's Do It, I'm going to push this under my lower lash line, but only at the outer third, and again connecting the shadow at the outer corner. I'm now going to take my Ardency in Modster eyeliner in the shade Coffee, and I'm going to use this to tightline my lower lash. Again, just at the outer third, I'm not going to go all the way in, just where we place the black shadow. And lastly, just using the shade My Treat, and I'm going to use this to highlight my inner corners and also my brow bone. Alright guys, so this is the third look completed. For my lashes, I am wearing the Boudoir Light from House of Lashes. And for my final lip pairing, I decided to go with the Luxe lipstick in the shade Still Crazy. Alright guys, so that is going to conclude my video for today. I know it was super short, straight to the point, and I didn't really go into the nitty gritty, but again, it is discontinued. For those of you guys that have it, hopefully this video was helpful and gave you some inspiration. And for those of you guys that don't have it and wanted to get it, hopefully my comparable shades and me talking about the I Love Cedar E palette was helpful in that way. So hopefully you guys did find it helpful. Let me know what you guys think of the palette if you guys did pick it up or you're not too fussed over that you didn't get it. With that being said, that is pretty much it for this video today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys and I will see you in my next video. Bye!